the workshop, tools in the light. Screws and glue, they're holding it tight. Piece by piece, it's a builder's delight. Making dreams in the still of the night. Let's get into it, let's get building now. Put it all together, I'll show you how. Screw by screw and a little glue too. Welcome to the workshop, it's waiting for you. In the heart of creation, models take form. One more piece and they'll weather the storm. Engines roar or a ship in its prime. Building bonds stronger than time. Your hands are steady, your vision is clear. Dreams in plastic, they're finally here. Every piece has its very own song. In this workshop where we all belong. Let's get into it, let's get building now. Put it all together, I'll show you how. Screw by screw and a little glue too. Welcome to the workshop, it's waiting for you. Hours fly by as the pieces align. Apart work, beauty and design so fine. You're the maker, turning vision to truth. Building wonders for dreams of your youth. Hours fly by as the pieces align. Apart work, beauty and design so fine. You're the maker, turning vision to truth. Building wonders for dreams of your youth.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Tinker and Talk Tuesday. Now, I've got a couple of things to say just before we get into the Flying Scotsman there. But last week, if you haven't seen it on my socials, I'm so pleased with this. It doesn't drive across the worktop, but it does work. Actually got it to work. It was an issue with that central gear there. It was just rubbing on the parts there. So happy about that. And no one pointed out to me that I've missed off the rear lights on there either, but they're on there now, so all good. That was actually my first community post since they opened up community posting for everyone on YouTube, pretty much. So if you haven't already seen that, head over to the YouTube community page, and you can actually post things on there. So just a little update, I think, from YouTube. I think it seems to have been for everyone all in one go. So I've seen quite a few people saying that they've got this community tab now. So I don't think it's just me or a couple of other people. I think it seems to be open for everyone. The other thing I've got to tell you about is, you remember I've got that Agora diorama to do? Well, I've actually started doing some work to it now. I've sort of done it out in 3D model space now. So I've been planning very rough geometric shapes. And then I thought, well, I've seen it on the screen. I don't quite know how physically big it's going to be. I made a little cardboard template when I first sort of done it and like mocked it up with a couple of bits of tube. And I thought, yeah, it looks about right. I've done this out of a bit of foam board. This is just the front archway of what I plan on doing for the Agora models build. So as you can see, it's absolutely huge. I need to print a Wayne head just for scale, but there's my head for scale. So it's probably going to be that by about that deep again. So just give you an idea of size. It's not going to go much taller than this, but out the front here, I need to build up all the columns and the surface. I've got to build basically the deck of this as well. So yeah, figured I'd have a little play and get a bit of sense of scale. I'm hoping that I might be able to laser cut a lot of this and get all the brickwork done. So this will probably be 3mm MDF when I actually finally do it, just with a little bit of rigidity. And I need to find a way of being able to take it apart and put it back together as well when it goes up the Telford, because something like this is probably not going to fit in my car. So that's a quick update for the Agora build. I'm hoping to try and get a little bit more done and hopefully a video out at some point. And then this week on the channel, there's going to be the Batmobile, hopefully for you tomorrow, 66 Batmobile. You can just see it on the shelf there, looking absolutely fabulous with its new bit of bodywork on it. And hopefully I'll have the Megazord out as well. So the next 11 issues are ready for that as well. And I think we've pretty much just done a lot of the Mastodon and a little bit of the Pterodactyl. So that's what's coming up on the channel this week. But for now, we get onto the Flying Scotsman. I've pulled out a couple of issues. There's not much to do in those, but I have gone through the entire pile of issues to work out what I've done, what I haven't done. And it's pretty much what I have done, what I haven't done. And I've sort of put them in order now, so I'm hopefully going to try and work through them in an order. I say that, if I get done with these two, I'm actually going to skip a couple and go to another one. But we'll gloss over that one and we'll get into it, shall we? Hey Bergdis, hey Chris. I think it's big enough. I've got a constraint of a meter by a meter by a meter. So yeah, I think it's just about big enough. Yeah, maybe. Could quite easily fit a small dog in, to be fair. Right, so 28 and 41 is what I've got here. Now, the reason the big gap is because pretty much everything in between this and everything before this has been done. And there's not even a great deal in issue 28. So with 28, we had only a few little bits and pieces, one of which were not fitting. One I've fitted already previously, and this part is the one we're going to be fitting now. So we've got this little rod. And if I take these bits off of here and bring it over this, so we've got this rod going along here. That's this sort of control arm. That was the larger one that had to be put in. We've still got this little bit tapering out here, and that's where this is going to go. Now, before we put that on, we do actually need to attach this. Now, it's one of the reasons why it's not attached, actually, or that part's not attached, because I wasn't planning on attaching this at this early stage, but having gone through all the instructions and things, and I've got it to this point here, I am going to attach it because I've got this little section here that needs to be masked off eventually for the black and the green. And if I'm a little bit off on that now, masking it even under here, obviously you've got the green and the black, it's probably not going to show it too much if it's a little bit wayward. So I am going to attach it. There is one small issue. I seem to have lost the screws that should go in there and the nuts that will go in there. I don't know where they've gone. I've looked through the box. I've obviously removed them at some point because I do know this was one point attached. So I'm just going to find some generic ones and attach those through there. But for now, all I'll do is I'll stick some glue on there, stick some glue on here, and that will attach it enough. I'm amazed that I've lost those bolts, considering this is all the valve gear that I've worked on so far, and there's some tiny, tiny bits in there. And when I've done an inventory of it all, they're all there, and they've been sat in this tray for about 10 years. So yeah, and that's some sort of miracle that they've managed to stay in there. But as I said, I'm going to glue this in place first. So just going to put some glue on this saddle. And along here, and along here. Now it does have a little locating section on the plate there. And I can check those holes line up as well. Right, let's just move the Cobra out of the way. Right, so now that's glued in there, I might just switch to the other camera a second. We've got this section just here. I know it's black on black and not the best to see, but this piece here, I've angled it off this way. We basically need to put that on that pin there that's still left out sticking out the side there. And as you can see, that sits nicely against the body there. No, nothing connecting the cylinders to the wheels yet. Got all the valve gear and running gear to do on that one. And it's not even going to be motorized, to be fair, Berg. This is not going to be a running model. Although it did have the option of being a running model, hence the gap there that would allow for the motor. But I have no space for an engine this size to run around a layout. I barely have enough space for an double O gauge layout, to be fair. Most of that's still stuck in the loft at the moment. Right, let's just get a bit of wire. In fact, actually, I might use this bit of wire that's in here. Just put a bit of glue out like that. And then with that pushed fully in, okay, actually, I think it might need to lift up a little bit, so I might need to take off a little bit more of that, because it's going down at a bit of an angle. Now, above the TV is all the electronic stuff at the moment, but eventually, maybe beside the TV. So, very close. Can't get this off now. Hey, Ramon. Yep, that's right, Bagdis. And I believe they actually are on this. So they're all pointing forward, or backwards actually, and they're pointing up. So quartering is done. I do have to take those apart again, just because I need to repaint those wheels. Right, let's take off a little bit more of this. At the minute, it's warm and muggy. So, oops. Now I've bent that. That didn't go well. I can just put up more shelves. Although, to be fair, I'll just put up enough media wall to house the amount of models that I plan on doing, or that I have. I'm not sure. Right, that doesn't look too bad. Make sure it goes that way up. And if you saw the Mallard Mallard video on Monday yesterday, I've done a lot of valve gear on that one. think there's got to be 90% of the valve gear done, to be fair, on the Mallard. I think you need different guests. If they're complaining about the models taking over the house, you definitely need different guests. Can I get that to sit in there reasonably well? This is going to be a bit of trial and error, I think. That definitely needs to be shorter. Excellent idea, Berg, this. That's pretty much got to be it now. I'm sure of it. Right, so yeah, I pushed all the way in. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's just have it that way up a minute. And then we can dab some glue in there and in there. Excellent. Right, so that's in. I think I just need to clip the end off that. Yes, I do. Need some better clippers. Perfect. And that's all there is to do in that stage, because I think I've already got the holes in this one. We want 1mm. We'll drill them out a little bit, I think. Probably loads, Chris. One that I missed out on, and I would love to be able to do, is the EXO. But I don't think anyone's ever going to bring that back. And I am considering if it's still available when a couple of the other these builds finish, which will probably be beginning of next year. Probably the Dodge Charger, because I think that will look brilliant next to the Supra that I'm doing. And I think that's probably the only sort of two that spring to mind at the moment. Now, these holes don't need to be that deep. They're only to hold a bracket, which I'm not attaching just yet. It's one of those we need to keep safe for forever until such time as they decide they're going to tell us to fit it. So, to be fair, it's this sort of L-shaped bracket, and you can imagine if that sat on there, it's going to get broken off in about 0.2 seconds. Moving this around. Didn't realise Fan Home was still delivering that. I thought that was well done for everyone now. Was he quite lucky that Fan Home are able to replace a part for you? Right, so which way around does this go for testing purposes? This way. But that'll go in there eventually. That looks pretty good. So let's pop that back in there. I've had this for so long, the permanent marker has faded. Wow. Is that because you had it when Eaglemoss did it and then didn't start it up again for a while after Fan Home took it over? Right, so that's issue 28 done. So I can check that off my list. And then we're still keeping with this section with issue 41. We've got the brake control, screw reverser, left-hand cab floor cover, linkage cover, and reversing linkage. Now, I did originally plan on doing this drilling before tonight's stream, but just didn't get the opportunity. But it doesn't look like there's too much drilling, which is great. And then we are actually attaching the cab to the footplate. And if we're using the alternate backhead, which we are, we need to fit it temporarily into the rear of the cab, then check the fit of the left-hand cab floor. So that's because of pipe differences, probably. Right, where are these parts? There they are. Right, now, it doesn't look like it's meant to be that shape. So look. Well, surprisingly, it might be. Or the majority might be that shape. Hard to tell from the picture. Looks like I'm potentially not using that piece anyway. What am I doing with those pieces then? So I'm not actually doing anything with those pieces. Okay, so this is why I said about skipping some earlier, because I think this one feeds into issue 79, where we actually put this onto the other side of the floor. I was trying to work out whether that handle is bent or not. It's really easy to move. I'm going to move it a little bit, I think, like that. Obviously, if I bend it too much, it's going to break the casting. But I think that does need to be moved. Alright, that at least looks a little bit more like the picture. Now we need to work out where we're drilling holes in it. And what we're drilling holes into. Looks like it's just this piece. Oh, wait a minute. Remove the bent round feed from the brake control. Oh, so I've got to remove that, have I? I'll have to try and straighten it, make it look like a picture. Read the instructions. And then, that looked like a piece. That looked like a piece of pipework. Right, removed. And then that's where we need to put the drill in. Now, probably a little bit like me and the DeLorean. I think I was up to, well, I did start the DeLorean late compared to a lot of other people. I think Wayne had long finished his by the time I started mine. And I think when Eagle Moss went under, I think I was around issue 70-ish. Maybe not even that high. I might have had some, obviously, as you know, Eagle Moss sort of gave a few sporadic issues. And I think the highest issue I had at the time was 90-something. But I couldn't progress any further than like 60-something. Because of various missing issues. Yep, that's my wish too, Ramon. I'd like to see the Ecto one back, and I would probably do that one. I'm surprised they haven't done it actually to coincide with the release of the new film and everything. Right, I'm just going to switch over to a flat file, I think, because we do need to drill a hole into this apparently. You must have been ahead of me then, Ramon, when that happened. But as I say, I think I had something like up to, yeah, I think I might have even had a 90 issue or something like that. But yeah, I couldn't progress because I didn't have a few of the other issues. Right, I think that's about the best it's going to get. We need a 1.6 mil drill bit. These only go up to 1.2. Now, a little bit of guesswork, but I'm just going roughly in the centre of where we've filed that off. Where one end of the injector pipe will sit, apparently. So, we need to go too far in. Just enough a pipe will go in there. So what are you going to do for part works now, Bergdus? Now, Ian's not sending you stuff. I'm assuming he's going to finish all the collections that you've currently got, but what about future issues? Did Fan Home actually deliver to you directly? Right, that's deep enough. Then we need to drill a 0.7mm diameter hole in the top of the part. Which is not clear at all. That's definitely the bottom. That's the top. Now, one picture they've got there, so it looks like it goes just inside there. And it was a 0.7, which must be what I've got in the drill bit here. Yep, and I bet all the stripes don't line up for you, Bergdus. If you've seen a stripe gate. But hopefully Fan Home will sort that out. Right, let's try and orientate this again. Actually got no mark on this one to tell me where I'm actually drilling. So it's going to be a bit of a best guess. Because as you can see from the inset picture, they've actually got a clearer picture of it being drilled than the inset picture, which is ridiculous. The whole point of the inset picture is meant to be made clearer, not more obscure. Right, that's that one. And then we need a 0.5mm for the underneath, for the bottom side. That's a broken one, so I need to find my other set. I do like these drill bits, but with them being so fine, they do break. So I find that I've got several. It's a good thing they're cheap. They're good quality, but cheap. I should just have a subscribe and save to Dave over at Tyrell Models. So how many builds you've actually got going at the moment, Bergdus? Or at least committed to? Right, so it's 2.5mm holes in there and a 0.7mm hole in the top there. And then we need this part, and we need to drill a 2.6mm hole in that one. Massive hole. I thought you were always surrounded by roadworks, Chris, when they keep digging up the roadworks, the road every 5 minutes. Right, can I find a 2.6mm drill bit? Wow, 18. Think, at a minute, what have I got? 4? 4 subscriptions, I suppose, plus the Mallard and the Scotsman. Right, I think this is actually a little bit smaller than I need. 2.4. Let's see if I can find a slightly bigger one. 2.63, perfect. Put that one in there. That's got to be like every part work currently available, hasn't it, Ramon? Now, I do believe this is going to have a part that goes in the top of it. A part which I need to find, which I know I did find. It's here. So it's going to have to take this handle. Uh, 911 still dead. Eleanor, Acto 1, 917 cage. Oh, you're doing the fire trucks? Oh, I haven't seen that one. Skyline, Axo Jeep, Eiffel Tower. Wayne said he was going to do the Eiffel Tower, didn't he? Did he ever get around to do that? Or was there a reason that he didn't? The John Wick film I thought was pretty good, but yeah, I'm not too fussed about the car. I think if I was doing Mustang, it probably would be the Eleanor Mustang. I'm sure at one point he said that Esther might buy it for him. But never mind. Yes, the SAS Jeep did look good. I saw it at Telford at Scale Model World, along with the Apache actually, and that looked absolutely phenomenal. I think there's quite a few. Going back to your other question, Chris, there's quite a few from Agora that I'd do. And I'm really hoping that Agora is going to bring out the Vantage, not Vantage, the Vantage from Living Daylights. So we just need to cut that piece off there, and that's going to fit into there. That fits perfectly. And before I do that though, I'm going to drill out the other holes, which is a 0.4mm hole, and it's going in here. So it's going in from the bottom here. Now, before, sure I saw, yeah, I did. So presumably, top and bottom it says. Yeah. Don't just go by the pictures. Although, to be fair, it says I'm going to be putting 0.4mm wire in, so I'm actually going to drill a 0.5mm hole. Just because it makes it that much easier to get the wire to go in. I've seen that, Chris. I thought it looked brilliant. I've noticed that he's obviously already painted it as well. So I said Sparehead 2 must also dye his beard. Now, Chris, you're probably the best person to ask about this actually. Could you do a different version of that? Could you take that same file and reduce the quality effectively and make it look a bit more like Crichton, so with the flat panels sort of thing? Oh, also actually, with the Agora build, I'm planning on adding like a few little Easter eggs. That I've just broken that drill bit. That's how easy you can break it if you're just a little bit off. Yeah, I'm going to add a few little Easter eggs to the build. So there's going to be some shelving at the back and at the side of the basically of the car. And one of the things I was going to do, I'm going to print a small Wayne head and stick it on the shelf, and probably put Odd Jobs bowler hat on it, just as something funny. Right, let's get rid of all the metal shavings. Right, so I need to find some 0.4mm wire, and I bet that's probably what this is. .48, very close enough. And that's one of the reasons why I drill a slightly bigger hole, because the wire is never consistent. Okay, looks pretty good. Right, so let's get this glued into the top of here first. Is it going to matter which way around this is? I don't think so, but it looks like it goes that way in the picture. I knew there would be a way of doing it. I just didn't really think how. I'm just going to reinforce this with a little bit more glue. I might end up having to use a little bit of epoxy or UV resin. But we shall see. Right, so that's in there like so. So now I need to take a piece of wire. Now this is very similar to what we had to do on the mallard. So we're effectively creating this piece. Interesting enough, I think the wire goes the opposite direction. Right, so that's going to go in there, and then it's going to bend. Oh, it looks like it bends almost straight away, actually. Let's just bend it like so. I'm going to cut off the majority of that bend. That will then allow that to sit in like so. And then we just need to bend it around the corner. So I've got a rough bend there. Sure, if this was a modern day artwork, this would be one solid piece that had been cast or produced already for you. This is where you've got to actually produce it and manufacture it. And to be fair, I'm not actually sure which I prefer. Sometimes this sort of thing can be fiddly and frustrating, but it's also a case of like, well, I've done that, I created that. I'm just going to hold that there for a second. Hopefully that little bit of glue sets. I'm going to glue my finger to it. But I'm sure that's why you've come to this stream, to see me glue myself to something or make a mistake. Otherwise it's not entertaining, is it? Right, we'll just cut that off like so. And then with any luck, that will stay in place. Just add a little bit more glue there. Right, we now need to do another wire coming out the bottom of that one. And that's just a nice straight wire, which is nice and easy. So all I'll do is I'll dip the end in some glue, get it pushed up in there. This is where I should have made that hole a little bit deeper, probably. Get that cut off there. And then I will just tack it at the bottom here. And add a little bit more glue just at the top, like so. So that's that piece created. And then the only other thing to do for this magazine is going to be down to the cab itself. So I've got the cab. I have already made the hole there for the whistle. I've also countersunk all of these 4 holes here, and somewhere I should have 4 screws. Now these came from issue 27, and they are a Phillips screw. I think actually they're a posi screw, but PH1 should be sufficient. And these 4 screws are just going to screw right into the bottom here, and they're like they're just self-tapping, and they're self-tapped right into the metal of the cab. Now I haven't actually glued that in place, considering we're just using screws. I don't think it requires any glue. What time is it? 10 to. Not too bad. I will have a quick look at 79. I don't think I'm going to have time to do that one. But that's now our cab and boiler on the footplate. Now they did say that we needed to do a test fit. So that's our back head. That's what it's looking like. I think since the last time you saw it, all I've done is paint the copper pipes. Everything else is as you saw it. So let's just see if we can get this to go in here. Now, it might be a case of it's not going to easily fit, and it might actually need a little bit of a filing off the bottom to actually get it to fit in properly. Yep, I think if I put that in there now, all I'm going to end up doing is jamming it in. So it was only to test fit this in place there, and whether we needed to make any allowances for these pipes, similar to what we've done with the mallard. Now, just looking at that, I probably need to take off that corner for those pipes, which is fine. And we're not doing anything with that piece, so it's not going to be too much of an issue to do that one. So that's the screws done. I probably will do that little bit of gluing, just to ensure that boiler and the glue and the cab are glued. Just about reach in there, I think, with a bit of wire. Let's move that out of the way a second. Grab a tiny bit more glue. I don't think this is going to do a great deal of securing. But there is some glue in there. Right, so let's just put that on there for a second. So that's issue 41 done, with the exception of trying that. Now, if I just bring 79 out, so we haven't actually used that, or that at the moment. We've drilled that out, but we haven't actually used those parts. But if I open up this one, you will see that pretty much we're putting all those parts onto this floor piece. Now, I don't know why they couldn't have given us that floor piece instead of this one, but never mind. So I think what I'm going to do, at the very least, I'll get those pieces onto this floor piece here. That's looking like that. So use a miniature drill to drill out the small hole in the right hand cab floor, 2 millimeters. So it's not that one. That was 2.6, that's too big. Lost my bag of drill bits. What size is this one? Too big. There they are. .4. .9, getting close. 2.2. 2.1, that'll do. So it looks like we are drilling that all the way through. But why they couldn't actually make that a hole all the way through, considering that that's a hole. Yeah, never mind. Right. Before I drill through the magazine and through the workbench, let's just use my sacrificial bit of wood. Right, so I've drilled through that one. Then we have this piece going on this way around. Might need to just open up that hole ever so slightly. There we go, perfect. That's going there, and then this is going next to it. So we'll get that one glued in first. You know what I've done, don't you? Just glued my finger to it. That's what happens when there's a hole on the other side. Right, so we've done that. And then this needs to go this way around. That one goes like so. Again, all I'm going to do is run some glue around the edge, and then that will seep under it as well, giving it a really good strong bond. Right, so we've got that like so, and then this is going to sit in between those two parts somehow. Now it is quite a tight fit, so I'm going to just take off the edge of this a little bit. Now, if I'd read ahead, what I should have done is probably fit this piece and then file some off that handle to get it to fit in. And it definitely has to go this way around because we've got like the wood detail on the front there. Alright, let's try that one now. Right, you know what I'm going to do? Probably going to... No, there's not even much room for that to come off, to be fair. There. Take a little bit off that one. But I think they're just going to have to continue taking bits off this one until it actually fits. I think it might be there, pretty much. Almost. Just going to try and get this piece fit in here, and then that'll be it for the stream, I think. Right, there it goes. Let's get that sort of squashed down into place, like so. And then whilst that's in there, I'm just going to run some glue around it, and that'll be enough to hold it in place. Excellent. Right, so we have that section now of the cab floor. So I'll mark this one as a partial complete because we've still got the firebox shield and a couple of other parts to do. I'm not actually positioning the back head as you can see at the minute, but certainly another test fit. But that is what the back head will look like. And we do have that little central box as well, but that's looking pretty good. Right, well, thank you very much for joining me again on another Tuesday live stream. Don't know what I'm going to do next week. I might continue with Flying Scotsman, but I do still have that Lego James Bond Aston Martin that's sort of calling me, which I haven't even started yet. So we shall see what happens next week. Obviously, do make sure that you are subscribed and all your notifications are turned on, and then you know when I go live next week. And as I say, hopefully this week I'll have the Batmobile for you and the next instalment of the Megazord. So stay tuned for those as well. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.